Today I have a special guest with me. This is Shawn, the Sloth. I had bought him for the girls, but the girls rejected him entirely, and so I guess now it is I cuddling Shawn. So, but I decided to place him here simply because. So today I wanted to do a reflection piece, and he's actually a very good armrest. Um, so today I wanted to do a reflection piece, and it's a couple of things have been happening, and it's made me think about the stuff and the journey. And some of you enjoy these, some of you prefer the more astrological stuff, some of you prefer Hello Neighbor. That's fine. Go with it if it works for you. Usual policy. So I see one person ran away. Is Shawn really that scary? Is he? Is he that scary? But anyway, so um, today I wanted to talk about just, some things of looking at this road that I've been on for a while, and some of the some of the changes, some of the perspectives and healing, and so on and so forth that come forth. Of course, there's a very serious piece that I could talk to you about Terios and 2021, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ. No, that's okay. Let's do something different for today. But that will come as well. So in the past few years, today, someone, an artist actually, contacted me because she's been wanting to draw a picture of my little girl. And so I said, well, she is her own person, so why don't you ask her? So she sends this sweet little video, and she asks her very politely, very sweetly, would she please be a model for her? So my little girl starts purring, and I get her some photos, and someone's going to draw her. So that's nice. But to get the photos, I had to go through several hundred other photos, and it's now that got me into reflection. Simply because when you are confronted with yourself so quickly, the choices that you have made, the people that have been in your life and not in your life anymore, that changes a lot. That those changes, or rather those changes, just they come at you when you look at photographs. And that's where you either get nostalgic or you go, I did the right thing. So it's that's been what's been going on. So maybe this is why Shawn the Sloth, hello, is sitting here today. So looking at those photographs, I realize I don't recognize myself from just a few years ago. I mean, yeah, completely different person. And I realized that people who were in my circle a few years ago, even if they've not necessarily done anything wrong, they can't stay in that space anymore because I'm not the same person. When I started this journey, it was astrology was a way in. It was a way of expressing. It was a way of looking at certain aspects of spirit that were denied to me for a long time. And it was just a doorway and a gateway. And I looked into the roots of that, and I looked into the metaphysics of that. I tried looking at the culture and religion and tradition that, quote unquote, was supposed to have gone into. And the roots of the metaphysics of that didn't align with me either. And then I decided to just go, hey, I'm ready to go and do something else. And that was a decision I was making around September 2016. And since then, there's been so much of transformation and progress that I just don't recognize that person anymore. Obviously, it's the same, or rather, the being inside now that is much more present at the moment was always there. It was just a lot of layers of false consciousness, social constructs, environmental constructs, familial constructs I didn't even know I was having. And the more you strip away, the more you strip away, the more you strip away, the less you know what you are, and yet the more you become. And that was what I was reflecting on as I was going through these hundreds of photographs, thousands of photographs actually, looking through for the best images of my little girl. See, she knows how to facilitate things, doesn't she? But yeah. So, um, So I really thought through all of this, I really thought, okay, well, do I regret things? As most of you would know, I went through a pretty intense divorce with someone whom I've known for, I don't know, 15 years. And that happened in that time period. Walked away from, I guess, the technical family of origin because I realized they were a narcissistic viper pit. And yeah, now I'm basically had spent a couple of months of homelessness, very intense psychic attack. And it doesn't take a genius to see how walking away from certain things have led in other ways to targeting. But yeah, it's created something different, someone different, I should say. So when I look at my attitudes towards all of those things that I used to identify myself with, it just doesn't make sense anymore. Of course, I'm still working, I'm still helping people through astrology, I'm still doing spiritual facilitations, I'm still learning and understanding much more about healing than I ever thought I could know, especially through TCM. But it just feels like, even though, I guess if you were to look at it from, the bad nuts and bolts, life seems a lot shittier on the surface. Energetically, it seems a lot cleaner. I mean, yeah, I don't, I don't want to go into the details of it because the story is not entirely mine to tell. But this year alone, I managed to find myself in a situation where all of my life savings are gone, and somehow I still have faith, and somehow that faith is even stronger than before, and somehow I know I'm going to find a way, or find support and find a way to just, be and move through it. So yeah, it's very hard to put words into that headspace. It's not like life, is giving me a silver spoon or a golden spoon or whatever. Life is giving me the shit end of the stick. But my spirit and my heart have never been clearer, and in that sense, that's something to be grateful for. Grace under pressure is easy to say as a word, but as a practice, is one of the hardest damn spiritual challenges you can face. So I don't know. I guess I just wanted to reflect on some of that stuff. I wanted to, I guess, sit with people with that energy, because sometimes sitting alone is enough when you are in and I know this from experience. When you're in the presence of someone who is communicating something wordlessly, sometimes that is enough. That's why people hung out with teachers. They didn't actually need to say anything. They just saw, they just observed, they just absorbed. Maybe Shawn will learn a thing or two. For those of you who've just tuned in, I got this little plushie for the girls, but they rejected him. So I'm using him as my hand rest. And yeah, life is a lot shittier, but it's also a lot clearer. Today I was talking to someone who I've worked with for the past 2 years, a client of mine, and I asked her permission before sharing her story, and she said, "Well, thank you. 2 years ago you told me something um, that I didn't believe when you first told me. I thought, what's wrong with this person? But then 2 years down the line, I'm doing the impossible. And it's because you saw something in me that I couldn't believe was there." And she wished me well. And, I could feel her very earnest and sincere prayers for my well being. And in that sense, I guess life is all about going to that space of grace. The past few years have been so much of karmic emptying. And, you could say the universe is clearing my slate for what is to come next. Or maybe it's just about being. Maybe that's enough. I mean, when I look outside, I know I haven't shown you the garden in a while, but I decided that I couldn't handle the rat problem, and the garden decided to take a life of its own, and now it looks like a forest with two trees. But as Jeff Goldblum said in Jurassic Park, life finds a way, right? But yeah, I guess it's just life. On the one hand, is so much more complicated, but it's also simpler at the same time. There are no shortcut strategies, but at the same time, the simplest, most heartfelt thing tends to make a bigger difference. I mean, sure, I can take credit for, if I was that kind of person, which I'm not, but I could take credit for a person's success going, yes, because I guided you, because I told you this and I told you that, but that's bullshit. the thing that really makes people transform and evolve, whilst external facilitations can certainly help point you in the right direction, it's always on the inside. And it's not the grand explosions, it's that internal space, it's that internal alchemy that always comes back to the heart. It's not an intellectual exercise. And I think that's the only way that I'm surviving. I think it was 2016, if I'm not mistaken. I think, or was it 2017? Whichever was closer to Saturn conjunct the galactic center. But that was the time I had my accident in New Mexico on that mountain and I nearly died. And I think life has basically just been spinning me in a way that I can't predict for myself ever since. But there's grace, you know? Grace comes from unexpected places. Grace comes from unexpected, situations. And that's honestly what the only thing that seems to make sense to me now. All of this intellectual stuff, yes, this alignment does this, that alignment does that, that alignment does that. Sure, you can get it intellectually, but at the end of the day, the only thing that really changes shit is your heart. And the thing that changes people's hearts is love, is heart, compassion, creativity, it's connection, it's coming together, it's being willing to be a person and a human being without having an agenda, without having some reason why you need to do something for someone. It's that unconditional gifting of kindness and love and presence and warmth. I mean, most people who've worked with me know this. My terms and conditions are very strict. My boundaries are very strict. But for people willing to respect the boundaries, the sessions themselves are usually very soft. And people like it that way. But heaven help the person who decides to come and be disrespectful. Now that's when I become my namesake. But most of the time, people come in with that space of just wanting to be seen and wanting to be understood and to allow themselves the facility of transformation that comes when that recognition sets in. A while back, someone told me that I didn't really need astrology to facilitate, and I find this to be the case. I just find that often it just puts a person's head in a box. I just look into something and I go, okay, that's the problem. This is what happens now. This is how you deal with it. This is what you do. Move along. And it works. It works. Honestly, presence, true love not necessarily being a romantic thing or a sacrificial thing, just being willing to do something for the good of another person without necessarily putting yourself or anyone else in danger. That's beauty. That's what this world needs to run on. But I mean, that's how life is right now for me. It's all about grace, it's all about goodness. So hopefully, this little fellow is also absorbing some good vibes. But like I said, this is a reflection piece. There's not any, very directed message coming through with this one, but maybe that's what people need. We'll see. V. Stormfeld, which says, how come I catch you only when I'm supposed to be sleeping? I have no idea. Melody says the evolution is real. Feel you on all this. Scotty Boy says, hi, Dr. B. I find in life sometimes you get the elevator, sometimes you get the shaft. I'm in the shaft phase myself, and that's okay. Indeed, it is okay. It is okay. And says Ra says, I can relate. We all evolve. Yeah, I mean, people I've known for years have been leaving my space. And it's okay. There's no disrespect. It's just divergences. It's just, your road somewhere else and my road is somewhere else. Take care, blessings, moving along. And that's also happening at the same time. But there's no, okay, here's an interesting question. There's no ill will with it. Irina says, what if someone doesn't want your heart, your goodness? Then why are you giving it to them? And sometimes some people expect your heart and they expect your goodness, and that's not good either. Kindness is not something that you can guilt trip or should guilt trip someone into giving. Kindness is not something that you can impose onto anyone. If someone doesn't want it, don't give it. It's that simple. But it's hard, but it's simple. But it doesn't mean it's not hard. Let's see. Any other questions with respect to what has been spoken of today? Scotty Boy says, exactly, indeed. This guy is a really good headrest. Now, I did get the girls a little white alpaca, and we're currently wondering why. Both of them went straight for the white boy. I'm not even kidding. I'm just like, "Mm." So my brother says this is the black man of the house. So I'm like, okay, come here. But yeah, maybe I'll get a vid of the girls with the alpaca if they will be so willing to pose. But yes, yes. Let's see what else we got going on. Waiting for a bit. In the meantime, let me show you what I got for myself. So you know my friend got me some flowers, right? And all of a sudden, not caterpillars, sawfly larvae started coming out of the flowers. So I was like, ah, shit. So I went and got myself this, which is nice. Put some good vibes in the air. And that is when I got Shawn and the alpaca, because I wanted to get something for the girls as well. But at least I got some flowers next to my table. That's not a bad thing at all. So, what other, do we have any other questions? Do we have anything else people want to talk about? Or shall I just wrap this up? Doesn't have to be a long video. Not all the videos have to be an hour long. Whoa. Do you have any questions, buddy? Well, if we started talking, that would be a problem. But do we have anything? Oh, I can just sign off. I noticed too these days, all I have to do is talk for a few minutes and everybody gets zonked. Oh, we Stomfeld, which says, speaking of alpaca, that's also the name of basically stripped down open source Photoshop. That is nice information. Sharanya says, hi to you and Shawn, watching from the start, so I'm behind by quite a few minutes, but just saying hi. Hi. Yes, I'm joking that this is currently my new boyfriend. I think we get along fine. Well, yeah, this is definitely a dude. Let's see, what can I talk about? I mean, astrologically, there's always stuff going on. But I have been looking into some cool TCM points, which for people who don't know, TCM is traditional Chinese medicine. I got the chance to talk to another practitioner today, and we were comparing notes on esoteric points. I was joking, saying I was probably some kind of Taoist exorcist in a previous life, and she's like, yes, you probably were. Um, here's a good point, actually, without going too deeply into the esoterics of it. And those of you who already know TCM should know it anyway. A really good point, especially if you're having any problems with the down below, anything to do with digestion or menstruation, is stomach 36. I believe it's called Zuzangli. And so if you look it up, it's beneath the knee. You can look it up for more details on how to find it, and you can just lightly touch it, and it helps. But contraindication, if you're pregnant, don't do it, because literally this is a point that can induce delivery. So do not do it if you are pregnant. And even if you do want to use it for delivery, do it with someone who knows what they're doing. That is baby. Let's see if she's willing to show up. Nope, baby is making sounds. Let's see, what do we have here? Nope, no comments so far. Let's see. So stomach 36 is a really good point, especially unless you are pregnant. That's something that I have found has really helped, and I've been looking into some of the background of why it works, some of the older metaphysical texts, because that's what I do actually. I do a ridiculous amount of research. I read really metaphysical stuff from other traditions or research into TCM. That's actually what I do as a hobby. I know. Irina says, lovely flowers. Do you think you need to love, accept yourself fully first before being able to get love from someone else? Or is it my self-sabotage tactics to isolate myself? Well, I can only talk for myself, and I can say this without exception, and I don't really care what people have to think about it. But the one soul that I know for me as an individual that has shown me the greatest, most focused, most devoted love is baby. Because even when I came, there was a lot of hullabaloo, there was a lot of prophecy shit, there was a lot of occult shit. There's a lot of people expecting me to fit a certain box, even when I was born. I have been in the public eye ever since I was a child. So, me doing this as I am is actually really breaking a hell of a lot of stereotypes. Um, and for me, so it was all love, the actually finding real love, finding someone who could just show me that compassion and care and that I was worth that, that came through baby. And so for me, at the very least, the thing that really opened my consciousness to this was seeing that someone else was willing to do it. So I don't, for me at least, I don't think you need to have that awareness in yourself first before you can receive. I think that if you are gifted enough to find someone or some being in your life that is willing to show you real love without expectations, enjoy it and allow it to transform you. Because to me, that has been the biggest, most transformative experience of my life. Just that love, you know? Um, let's see. Sejra asks, how do you spell it, please? I believe it's, let me look it up. Z-U or Zusanli. Like Susan Lee, if you think of it that way, but it's Zusanli. So it's probably Zusanli, but I don't know how to say Chinese right. Let's see. Though I did grow up watching lots of Hong Kong movies. Um, in fact, when the Detective D series was coming out, Detective D is a master detective. It's in the name. I think we probably were the only Indian people in the crowd. And I was just sitting there, just watching. But yeah, we've always been into Chinese stuff or stuff from that particular civilization. So that's Zusanli. That really helps. You can find out a lot of information of it online, but always check contraindications before taking any advice of any nature that can have any influence on the body. Always look at contraindications. But yeah, it's a very, very powerful point. Let's see. Mm-mm. We Stormfelt, which says, my partner taught me how to treat myself kindly, but that's because of how far in the left field my walk-in eye roll bio family was, and I hadn't experienced it this time around. Reminders, good. Yes, absolutely. If you are blessed enough to have someone who truly loves you, you've been blessed. That's it. You've been blessed. I mean, yeah, yeah, that moved me in a way I can't quite express. I don't think I'll ever have the words to express it. um Rajat says, thanks for your candid reflections. They inspire me so much and gives me courage to face my life storms. Oh, Rajat, did you see Shawn? Did you meet him? This is Shawn. I bought him for the girls, but they rejected him, so I'm holding him. Scotty says, hee, I grew up watching Kung Fu theater, late Friday night karate moves. Nice, nice. I used to love this. I mean, to be honest, there is a link between India and China when it comes to the Shaolin Temple. There was this, I mean, it's actually associated with two sages. One is Boher, and the other is Bodhidharman, who was a Pallava prince. So the Pallavaraya kings were from the South Indian state of, or South Indian city of Kanjipuram. And supposedly, I don't know if it's true or not, but supposedly that's where part of my biological descent line comes from. And Bodhidharman went to the Shaolin temple and taught the monks how to monk, I guess, or rather, how to do martial arts, I should say. And this is actually written on their wall. It's not, it's not some chauvinistic idea of cultural supremacy. But the thing that makes me laugh and makes me think there may be some validity to this story is what Bodhidharma used to do. So what he would do is he would sit in a cave and he would meditate, and to keep his focus, he would pluck his eyebrows out. I'm like, okay, I can see that. And if you look at his original drawings, he looks like dark skinned, broad features, broad nose. I'm like, yeah, that does look like a South Indian man. And on top of that, if someone wanted to be his student, people knew Bodhidharman always had a big stick with him. And if the student did not do what he was supposed, or they were supposed to be doing, he would beat them with the stick. And I looked at this and I went, yeah, I can believe this guy was an ancestor. I can believe it. I don't have any genetic proof, but that makes sense that me and my brother would be drawn to it. So we were joking. We said, you know how we could make a business? We could make this, really flashy, like one of those things that you see on YouTube. You see all of these beautiful meditation sceneries and this music, and they're talking all about spirituality and meditation and da 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 da. So instead of calling it, Bodhidharman, which has a certain, you can feel the intensity in the name, my brother called it, why don't we call it the Bodhidharma School? It's like, join the Bodhidharma School. Bodhidharma will always be with you, watching. And if you don't get it, we'll make sure you do. Of course, that references Bodhidharma and his big stick, which is not another reference. It's literally a stick to beat people with. So, so yeah, we make jokes like this. It's terrible, but that descent line I could see. I could see that, but anyway, but they even made a Tamil movie of this years ago, and years and years ago, called Yela Marivu, which means the seventh sense, and I loved this movie. But here's the thing, right? They actually had, I think, is he a Vietnamese actor? I'm not sure, but an East Asian actor called Johnny Nguyen, I believe, to go and play the villain in the film. And years later, I'm watching The Five Bloods with Chadwick Boseman in it, and I see this guy again, but it doesn't click. I don't remember who he is. So throughout the film, I'm like pointing at the screen going, he's the villain, he did it, he did it. And my brother's like, what is wrong with you? And then finally it clicks that he played the villain in this other Tamil movie I had watched years ago. And his name in the film, the one that came out, was Dong Lee. So when I finally put it together in my head, I was like, it's Dong Lee. He did it. He has to be the villain. That was the first time I really appreciated how powerful television programming as a medium was. I am a fairly awake, aware, conscious person, but this one completely slipped off my radar. And my brother said, there's probably a lot of Indian people out there that when they see this guy, they probably have the same reaction. But this was a movie, but it's still like ridiculously funny. But yeah, we laugh about shit like this. Irena says, oh, I love how Shawn is still smiling even after the rejection. It was cold, okay? They were like trying to bite his face. So I'm like, all right, Shawn, I'll hug you. It's okay. So, he's a nice little fellow who is also making sure I don't need to go get a shawl because this dress is low cut. So, yeah. But yes, he's loving it. Yeah, so that's been on my mind as well today. I mean, both cultures understood the body, meridians, and martial arts, and they understood them perfectly. But because of cultural chauvinism on either side, on both sides, instead of actually working together, it started to become a fight of who did what and who knew what. The problem is in the Indian equivalent of the system, which is what my brother learned. And the thing is, we always went independent. We went in two completely different directions and ended up both getting interested in spirituality. We looked at it from completely different perspectives, and both of us ended up looking in the systems that focus on the meridians, just completely independently. And for me, I always like the Chinese system because it has these beautiful poetic descriptions and it's been preserved. The problem with Indian spiritual technology is the parts of it that have not been colonized, and yes, India colonizes itself, is that you don't actually get the core of it. Whereas in the Chinese system, because of the translations, because they kept it codified, you're not just reliant on one male teacher to tell you what you can learn and you cannot learn, and you can look at the text and you can work it out and decode it yourself, which is why I look into all of this stuff. But yeah, that's what I do as a hobby. And rehabilitate rejected sloth babies. I do like baby sloths though. There's a meme or a t-shirt of a very cute looking sloth that says, how am I a sin? Because sloth is one of the 7 deadly sins. That's a nice one. If I have a stable living situation. I think I'd probably get a poster of them and put that somewhere because they are adorable. But anyway, so yeah. I don't know what else to talk about. Then again, I didn't know what to talk about to begin with. Let's see. Does anyone have any questions in the crowd? General stuff is also fine. Um, just let me know. Let me know. Let me see if baby's come out yet. Nope. She's looking even more intensely. Let's see. So, waiting, watching, waiting. And if there are no questions, that's fine. I'm also happy to wrap this up. Hmm. Are you sure you have no questions, buddy? Are you sure? Casual geographic roasts. Casual? Do you mean National Geographic? I don't understand that. What is that? Aminga asks, when will it come down? Hmm. It's not going to calm down, honey. Stop expecting it to calm down. It's not. You're only going to create an unrealistic expectation. What it is what it is. Keep focusing on working through what you're working through and prepare to deal with more stuff because this is not slowing down at all. That's the truth of it. And you know, I'm not going to tell you bullshit. At least I will tell you the truth as I understand it. Okay. Cesra asks, what is the point for the heart if you know Shenman, heart 7? That's a point that you can use in acupressure as well. But the other heart points, it's like they are a little bit harder to find, and heart points are very, very, very effective. But Shenman is one that has been used for so many kinds of things. From, well, to be honest, I can just look it up, but from psychology, basically to calm the mind, and to just settle back into the body. Yeah, heart 7. It's on the wrist, very close to the wrist line on the side of the body, or rather on the side of the wrist. You can look it up. It's easy to find. But whatever points you do, again, look at contraindications and do not apply pressure. Do not. I'm not addressing this to Cesra directly, but this is just a general point. If you know anything about spirituality, you know that you don't have to go hard in to have a huge reaction. You don't require force. So you just need intention and a little bit of focus, and you just observe. Sometimes I suggest these points to clients who are willing to trust me with it, and they can feel the difference immediately. And I wouldn't be suggesting something that you couldn't also look up online as a general acupressure point. We Stormfelt, which says he's a TikTok. Oh, okay. Okay, that's interesting. Oh, okay. We Stormfelt, which says, oh, is it a bad idea to get points pierced in your ears for PTSD and CFS ME? I don't know if it's a bad idea or not. I've been thinking about this. My ears didn't like getting pierced, and I had to persist for a long time before my ears finally gave in and said, okay. But I did try to pierce my nose 3 times, and my nose flat out rejected it. She was like, nah, nope, not happening, nope, out. So honestly, I'd say listen to your body, because I don't want to stigmatize people who do have piercings. But I think every body is different. So I wouldn't feel comfortable making a generic statement on that. Okay, Sarah asks, curious to know about the more crucial things to know about this upcoming eclipse energy. Thank you for sharing your reflections. Sending love. Well, Sarah, to be honest, I've already done that video. You can look it up, and that way you will have the reflections that you're looking for. Let me just see what they're called on my channel so you can look it up. I knew someone was going to ask for this, and so I am already like ready with this one. Here we go. If you look at the Halloween Sedna Algol special, the one where I'm wearing the hat, you will have the information there. Let's see. All right, no worries, no worries. Sandra says, thank you. You're most welcome. Aminga says, last night was the void cause of the moon. What does that mean? Nothing as occult as what you're thinking, if I'm reading you correctly. It basically just means that it's a period of time before the moon moves into a new sign where it doesn't actually do anything significant with the major planets. In other words, it's just moving. It's not making an aspect to something major. So it's not void in the esoteric sense at all. Astronomy likes to use very pretentious language. An occultation of Venus. So, in other words, the moon moves in front of it. Okay. But it's an occultation, but you're just saying that it moves across. Okay, fine. Void of cost moon. In other words, it's not doing anything. It's moving through. Okay, fine. So no, nothing to worry about. And Aminga says, I appreciate you. Thank you kindly. I appreciate that. Yay, appreciation. Yeah, don't worry about that. Okay, Zen Steel says, hello, Dr. B. My nose said no as well. It was not interested. Fist bump. Literally, I got mine pierced a third time, in all kinds of places, but the third time I got it pierced, a guy literally took some wooden stake and pierced it through, rubbed his hands with sand and pierced it through in some alleyway in India. Yeah. I used to be a bit more hardcore. But yeah, no. B. Stormfeld Mitch asks, yeah, right, the Shenmen point is a popular piercing. Piercing? I think that's what you mean. For anxiety at the moment, I was just, why are people piercing themselves? Jeez. I mean, isn't that a permanent thing? I mean, look, I'll weigh in on this much. Everything has alchemical properties, which if you notice, I don't wear much jewelry. If I ever wear jewelry or makeup, it's a special occasion, at which point I can tolerate the feeling of things around me. But then again, I'm hypersensitive. So some people may like having the alchemical properties of metal on them all the time. But personally, I would say for you, I wouldn't go for piercings to stimulate. In fact, there's electronic acupressure machines, and I'm even looking into that. What is my phone doing? Sorry, phone. Sorry. You can see me Googling things to make sure I get them right. That is another thing that I do. Come on, phone. What are you doing? Okay. VB says, just joined now. Hello, Dr. B. Hello, VB. This is Shawn. Shawn is a sloth that I got for my girls, but he was roundly rejected. So he's joining the call so he feels less rejected. Lady Owl says, hey, Sky Priestess. Hey, Lady Owl. Sun in Aquarius, Moon in Leo. This is definitely my return manifesting all-time high. Nice, nice. Irina says, could you please explain what is my phone doing? Anyway, Irina says, could you explain please what is a karmic? Actually, no, this is a great example of what I was trying to say to Stormfeld Witch. Like I notice my phone picks up my fingers even though they're much farther away. Like I realize that sometimes just my intention it's as if it hits the phone, and it's not like this is weird. So in that sense, the body, electronics, technology, metals, they all have a very powerful effect. And on a point like Shenmen, I wouldn't mess with it all of the time. Like just put your hand on it for a minute a day and you'll have the benefit. Or try an electronic acupressure machine or go to someone who offers that service. And I would say, do it intermittently. No point should be stimulated all of the time. That doesn't sound right. Irina says, could you explain please what is a karmic connection? Is there a specific relation to eclipse energies? Eclipses are very karmic, yes. Eclipses occur in 18-year cycles and they last for hundreds of years. A karmic correction, depends on who's using the term. Sometimes it just means making sure that you're not carrying old shit that doesn't work, And of course, my phone. I don't know what's going on with it. But that's what a karmic a correction can mean. Just making sure that you undo all agreements that don't work, that push you onto a certain road that you don't need. We Stormfelt, which are speaking of noses, is there a spiritual significance to heavy nosebleeds? I was actually looking this up today. Apparently, it has to do with liver stagnation, but I haven't done too much research into it. I am curious about it, but if I find out, and I'll likely look into it at some point. If you're about for another one of these general chats, I'll address it then. Sarah said, an old friend of mine had great success with laser acupuncture. Nice, nice. And some issues felt like sharing in case it's helpful. We Stormfelt, which says, got it. Yeah. Maybe people with less sensitivity can manage that, but no. I can't even handle earrings at this point. I'm just like, nope. Mm-mm. Nope. So, well, I'd say this has been a good discussion, starting from some reflections, but that's a good space. I mean, I think what I like most about YouTube is that I get to interact with people, and there is a shared respectful space, and this is, it's like there's a held space. People feel held for a little bit. They get a little bit of clarity on general stuff, and then they go, and that's fine. And people who need more help can go book a session. Yes, maybe I should offer you a session. Samantha Brown says, any concerns with upcoming Taurus moon? Yes, Samantha Brown, please special where I'm wearing my hat, my witch's hat, and I talk about the concerns there. But yeah, I'll probably do one closer to the eclipse, just in case. Candy says, any more crosswords coming soon? I haven't felt the burning urge to do one yet, but when I do, I will let you know as part of the Neighborhood Play series. I have been thinking about maybe doing some live art. That might be fun because I like painting. It's just been a long time since I painted. Let's see. But I think it's about time to wind up. Do we have any other pressing questions or anything of interest that people might want to ask as a general question? Again, stuff with the moon has already been discussed, and I'll probably do something closer to the date, but at this point, you know what I'm going to say. Watch yourself, watch your breathing, try not to, jump into things, observe, 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 and if you need to do something, do it from a place that's deep within. At this point, you know I'm going to tell you that. But so let's see. Is there anything else that we need to talk about today? Or shall Shawn and I retire for some intense cuddling? Which sounds wrong. Honestly, I can't even cuddle him properly because every time I cuddle this thing, I go, I'd rather be cuddling my baby, who is not very cuddly. No, I think it's okay. Well, like I said, I'm popping on and just like sharing and holding space and just being there. Sometimes that's all people need, I find. Bibi says, can I mail you about some questions about the session I had last with you? Sure, go ahead. Shezra says, thank you for your wisdom. Blessing sent. Enjoy your day or night. You too, you too. I hope those points help. Just remember, don't apply too much of force and check contraindications always. Samantha Brown says, glad to catch you live. Thank you. I hope everyone has enjoyed Shawn's presence. The girls rejected him for a white alpaca doll. Anyway. Bibi says, any message for the upcoming eclipse? I did. I just gave a message. My usual message. Observe, don't react, do things that come from your heart, and that's it. You'll be fine. Whatever needs to happen will happen. Getting appreciation. Lady Owl's laughing. So I send you much love and very many blessings. And take care. I'll probably be back to do a video around the time of the eclipse. Sarah says, much love, enjoy the. I'm probably going to try and pick up, baby. Wish me luck. Um, and ciao, ciao for now. Bye bye.